Well, I didn't see you there. Welcome back to another video. My name is Anass. I'm a final year medical student studying in London. And in today's video, we're bringing back the tech aspect of this channel. Well, in fact, we did a tech video last week on the AirPods. Lots of people liked it. I'm glad to hear that. But today we're going to talk about the iPad. And I used to make loads of iPad videos back in the day. Well, I'm saying back in the day, but it was only like 6 months ago. But I thought, you know what? It's only right that we bring these back because it is a huge aspect of my student life. You know, I use this iPad all the time. So I thought, you know what? Let's bring the video back. Let's talk a bit about why I use it, some top tips from my usage for the past few years. I mean, how long have I been using it now? About 2 to 3 years, which is a long time. And in addition to that, this video is kindly sponsored by Paperlike, and I've been using Paperlike for ages, and I'll talk a bit about that a bit later on in the video as well. So you might be asking, why do you even use the iPad? Good question, I say to you. Yeah, very good question. Well, the point is that for me, it removes the necessity for carrying paper around wherever I go. You know, back in the day, again, a couple years ago, I used to be the student who would carry paper everywhere. My bag would be full of just paper and just everything scrunched up, everything like that. And yeah, you know, I said I've had enough. I don't want to hear it no more. I don't want to see it. You get what I'm saying? So, you know what? I thought, let's invest in this iPad. And now I've got this slab of glass and metal essentially, and it carries my whole life. Everything's in here. That is really one of the key things. Well, and for me this year, obviously, as in final year of uni and medical school, a lot of it has been, you know, going through question papers and things like that. And that is where I found it extremely useful. And I think that that's where you'll find it extremely useful too. As students, we test ourselves often through question and answer formats. And that's what I did throughout this year. And a lot of this year for me was about that. And oftentimes these question and answer kind of resources would come in the form of, you know, question papers. And often you can get these as PDFs. So instead of having to print these out 40, 50, 60 pages of paper that you would carry everywhere, depending on how many question papers you need to do, you could just import the PDF and bring it into your iPad. So let's take an example. This is a real life example of what I was doing for a large part of this year. I had a big exam called the situational judgment test. And if we go in here, for example, let's go into this GP and let's go into here. Now you can see here that I had a huge question paper here, which is about 40 pages, right? And you can see here that, you know, I've got the questions here. I've got the different options that I could go through and answer. So question 27. And then I've got the options on here. I can go through the options and I can change the color of the pen, go through the options, cross them out if I want to answer that, circle whichever answer I've put, and yeah, and just go through the question paper like this. And then when it comes to marking this now, yeah, open up the mark scheme. So let's go answers and rationale on here, and look at that. We've got the paper that I was just doing 5 seconds ago, and then on the other side, we've got the actual mark scheme for the paper. So I can go through this paper here and mark it as I please. So let's click on here. Okay, we'll say, okay, that's right, and then wrong or whatever. And then I can go into the rationale of the answer. I can put the answer in a different color. So the answer for that is like A, B, F. They're probably different questions, but whatever, it's just an example. And then there's, you know, there's some explanations of the answer, of why that answer is the correct one. In fact, I can bring this into landscape now. Zoom out and then, you know, take some notes, put some notes on here. Let's change the color here to something else. And then now, so this is a huge aspect of it. You know, I can go through the question paper. I can go through the answers for the questions as well. But now suppose there's something I'd like to search up. Yeah, say something's come up, I'd like to search a different question paper, or I'd like to search a different mark scheme. I can bring up Safari here and just call bang. And now we've got triple split screen. Yeah, so I've got one screen on here, I've got one screen on here, and then I've got one additional screen on the other side. In fact, I could probably split it in this way. So see that now. So now I've got Safari on one side, I've got the mark scheme on the other side, I've got the answers on one side. I could probably bring a third one up. Bang. So see that I've got 4 screens open at one time. Now, it's unlikely that, you know, I'll need 4 screens open at the same time, but if that need ever arose, well, I'm speaking very posh today, I don't know what's going on, but if that need ever came about, you know, then I can have that on here. So there's 2 aspects here. There's question and answer papers in the form of PDFs, all saved on this iPad. I never need to print them out. Whatever I've written on here is always saved. And then the other aspect is, you know, I can split screen things and have everything on here. I can have quadruple split screens open on here, as you saw, which is extremely useful sometimes. The other thing is that actually you can make this iPad feel like you're writing on paper. Now, I mentioned that this video is sponsored by Paperlike, but I have to say that, you know, I used to use Paperlike way before they decided to sponsor my channel. So like, even in fact last year I was using Paperlike on here. And what Paperlike does, you know, you put the screen protector on there, and the texture of the screen protector actually makes it feel like you're writing on paper instead of you like writing on your screen. So let's bring out my phone and we can compare. So let's bring the mic down, yeah? Okay, so if I'm writing on my screen here, and can you hear this in comparison when I'm using the Paperlike? Yeah? And what you find is that there's actually some resistance to the pen when you apply pressure on the Paperlike screen protector in comparison to when you're writing directly on the screen itself. And to me, that is a much more pleasant experience. So if you'd like to buy a Paperlike for your iPad, you can use it for any of your iPads that uses an Apple Pencil. Then there is a link in the description below and in a pinned comment, and I do get a small commission, so it does support me and my channel. But if you want to deprive me of that, then feel free to do that as well. Like, you know, what can I say? Yeah, so yeah, so use that link and get your Paperlike. So now the 4th point is that if you use other Apple products, so like a MacBook and an iPhone together with the iPad, then there is some amazing syncing, automatic syncing that happens through iCloud. So let's give an example. Sometimes I sit on my laptop and I'm writing up an essay, or I'm writing up some notes for a history taking session that I have. Yeah, I save it in my documents and that's it. And then a day comes where I need to access those documents and those notes, but I don't have my laptop with me. I'm on placement, I'm at the hospital, but I have my iPad with me. What I can do is literally just go into files in here. Yeah, so open that, go into files. Everything that was saved on my laptop is automatically saved on my iPad as well. So let's go in here, you know, I can go into my documents or my desktop. Let's go here and then let's find something. Let's find, okay, we've got a PowerPoint here that was saved in my documents about asthma, allergies and blood transfusions. I can access that whenever I want. I didn't intend to transfer this to my iPad, it just happened automatically. And that is what, you know, sometimes this has saved me so many times that it's actually crazy. Sometimes I even save documents on here that are not study related, but I really need to print them out or access them. Literally on here, I just go into my documents, go into my desktop and just access it and use it as such. iCloud syncing has been, you know, mind-blowing for me. And actually something I didn't mention is that I also save loads and loads of books and multiple choice question books on here as well that I go through. So let me give you an example. Let's go into my notes here. Let's go into P, so that was 4th year of medical school last year. And let's go into clinical skills. So here you can see I've saved so many different notes. Let's close that. I've saved so many different books. I've got here SBAs for final, single best answers for final. So these are questions on here that I could go through, okay? Here I had essential examinations, a PDF book as well, which I don't need to carry anymore because it's in here. So I could go through that here. I had clinical skills transfer handbook, which was given by the uni. I've got the Indigo book, which was written by someone else. Some other clinical skills books. So you can see here that actually you don't even need to carry these heaps and heaps of books. They can all be saved here. And then you can write on them and edit as you please. And that is the amazing thing about this. I don't want anyone in the comments to say, oh, this guy's an Apple fanboy, whatever. You know, sit down, relax. It's not like that. I'm just saying, you know, what my experience has been with this use. I don't get any money for saying the iPad is great, all right? Now back to the pro tip. Okay, so one of the things that you might find is that some people, when they use the iPad, they make really neat notes. So on here, this is probably one of my most useful pages of notes that I've made, and that is probably the most neatly kind of organized. So this is to do with bleeding during pregnancy, so obstetrics and gynecology, and I've divided this into early pregnancy and then late pregnancy, and the different causes for bleeding during those different times during pregnancy, and then also some causes of those of bleeding during those times of pregnancy. I think I already said that. Some causes, but also some questions that you need to ask in a history, the management or treatment, etc. So it's been divided quite nicely. But you know what? When I was in my teaching session during that time, I didn't make these notes in the way that they've been organized here, because the issue there is that, you know, during the teaching session, I need to focus on what the person who's teaching is saying. Yeah, that is the most important thing in capturing all that information very quickly onto my screen. I was going to say onto my paper or my notes, but actually we're using the iPad here. See that? So capturing it on the screen. So in fact, what I used to do is make the notes in just some disorganized fashion, a bit more like this. Yeah. So in bullet points and dashes and whatever. And once I've captured what they've said, I'll go home and have a think about what they've said, have a think about my notes and how they all relate to each other and how I can organize it in a way which makes sense. And then moving on from there then, because the iPad allows you to edit, copy, drag and drop or whatever. So let's take an example here. I can click on this cut tool, I can cut this part here, and then I can, you know, I can zoom it in or minimize it or make it smaller. I can make it bigger, and then in fact I can cut it out, go up here, bang, paste it, and then make it smaller, make it fit in here, zoom in a bit more, make it fit in here, and then add it in. So I can in fact organize my notes in the way I like them to be after the teaching session instead of doing that during the teaching session. So I don't have to think about two things at the same time. In the teaching session, I'm thinking about what the teacher is saying. Afterwards, I think about how to organize these notes in a way that makes sense. In fact, making it smaller, making it bigger isn't the only thing I can do. I can change the style. I can go in here, change the color of these, of the writing. I can make it thicker. Okay, that doesn't look nice, so not that thick that you can't see it, but you know, I can make it a little bit thicker. That's perfect. I can make boxes around these parts, so you can see there's some boxes on here. I can highlight, you know, I can add some diagrams if I'd like. So yeah, I mean, yeah, so that's the trick. Make the notes in whatever format you want in the teaching session and edit those after. So I hope you liked that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, then like the video, comment, like, subscribe. And you know what? I keep saying comment, like, subscribe, but this is serious. You know, if you like the video, then the video actually gets promoted more by the algorithm. So if you like that and you want to support that video, then make sure you always like it and leave a comment. So yeah, there's nothing else to say, you know. Thanks for watching. All of that. Safe.